Hi, I'm Greg Palumbo, Exhibits Manager here at Atatiki Museum, and today I'd like to show you some treasures from our vault. Today I've decided to pull out some of our patchwork pieces, and on this table we have a lot of patchwork pieces that are actually for children. They're great examples of patchwork within our collection. Patchwork for kids is just like patchwork for adults, just miniaturized. So these pieces are great for examples of what our adult patchwork looks like, but they're also pretty great as far as children's patchwork goes. Especially you'll see when we get into some of the younger kids. It's really cute. Patchwork is different from applique. Traditional Seminole dress would have been applique or even just plain. As you can see from our friend back here, this is a replica of a traditional dress, a traditional jacket. The base fabric remains consistent throughout, and then applied on top are these stretches of fabric. Applique literally means to put on. If we look on the inside, you can see it's still the base fabric all the way through, and then sewn right on top are our bands of applique. Patchwork is different. Patchwork is pieces of fabric sewn edge to edge. The base fabric is cut, patchwork is sewn in, and then the base fabric continues. We see this particularly in older pieces as we go along at a horizontal level. As we get into later pieces, we'll see more diagonals. Patchwork is well documented as being part of the tourist trade in the 1920s. Patchwork was very colorful, and the idea was that the colorful dress would attract more tourists and thus more dollars. So the more vibrant colors that became available, the more they were brought into the patchwork. We can see here on this early patchwork, the patchwork design inside. If we look at the patchwork, these pieces are sewn edge to edge, and then the base fabric, being this beige fabric here, is cut and then sewn in to the bottom of the patchwork and then on through. There are applique pieces within patchwork. Most commonly rickrack, where the rickrack is sewn on top of our base fabric. You can see that here in this piece, where the rickrack runs along underneath the patchwork, where the patchwork meets the base fabric of this brown fabric. This piece in the middle is one of our older pieces. It's a great way to see how fugitive colors fade out very quickly. If I take this here, you can see on the arm, we have these bright yellows, especially in the fire pattern here, where you can see these bright yellow flames. When we flip to the back, where it's obviously been exposed to light for a very long time, this probably had the arm folded over its front, you can see the yellows have gone fugitive and run away from the piece. The yellows you can see right here, where it goes from being a very vibrant yellow and then fades right away, and as well as the blue becoming this dark navy blue and going and fading into this very light blue. That's one of the reasons that you won't see a lot of these pieces out for very long in our museum. We don't like to have pieces on display for too long because the light damages. All light damages. Just having a foot candle on a piece will eventually degrade the colors slightly. So our pieces go up for generally a year. Some of the more stable pieces can go up longer than that, but we try to rotate things through so that they have a chance to rest and the colors can recover so that they become more stabilized. Patchwork changes over time. As you can see, this much older piece has very lighter colors, dull colors, more of a heavy color on top of with a light color next to it to give it that pop. As more pieces of fabric are available to the tribe, they started to use different things such as satins for much more dressier pieces. You can see in this baby piece here, long shirt that we have, there are a lot of satins in, as well as this piece, which is much newer, and we get into these shiny fabrics, more man-made polyesters and things like that. Also in the 1950s and 60s, it was considered the high point of patchwork. And we see a lot more documentation as far as what the patterns meant and naming them, basically, where they hadn't had names before. In our collection, you can see a lot of different styles of patchwork, and our staff here would be happy to talk with anyone about those different patterns and how things went together. When you look at the collection, you'll see that we like to get a lot of the long shirts intact. Things such as jackets, where we can see this jacket here. If I flip to the inside, this was built as a jacket. It was always intended to be a jacket. However, in a lot of collections around the world of patchwork pieces, you'll find that the long shirts have been cut to form jackets, and the skirts were discarded or reworked to be a skirt for another part of their collection. We like to try and get our long shirts with the skirt intact, and that's really the prize that we're looking for. I hope you've learned a little about patchwork today, and you'd like to come in and see some of our patchwork. We're always looking for people that can tell us about the different designs within the patchwork. If you know any of the names of any of these patchwork designs, or if any of the artists that may have made these pieces, please contact the museum for a behind-the-scenes tour and come by and see our collections. If you'd like to see more of our collections online, you can check us out at atathiki.com. And thank you for joining me today on Treasures from the Vault.